This is task number 2, in which an electric motor with a mass of 3/4 of a ton is to be lifted and moved to a new position. The motor has a suitable lifting eye, and an overhead crane is available to make the lift. As usual, the task begins with planning what is to be done and the best way to do it. The equipment is inspected, paying special attention to the crane. The motor eye bolt is next inspected as described in an earlier program. Next, a check is made to see that the area is safe to work in. The necessary equipment can now be brought onto the worksite and checked to see that everything needed is there. At this time, the lifting sling can be attached to the motor with a suitably rated shackle. The shackle pin must be securely tightened. Next, the crane is brought toward the motor and stopped when the hook is directly above the eye bolt. The hook is then lowered until the sling can be easily attached. When the workers are standing clear, the hook is raised using the correct hand signal until the slack in the sling has been taken up. At this stage, a guide rope is attached to the load in order that it can be steadied during lifting and moving. A final check for the safety and security of the sling is made, and then the motor can be raised off the ground. Lifting continues until the load is high enough to clear all obstacles safely, and then lifting stops. Next, the crane is directed to move the load toward a clear area where it can travel safely. Movement is stopped, and then, in this case, the load is next moved to its right along the clear area in the workshop, being guided with the guide rope as it travels. When the load is above the new location, all movement is stopped. Next, the load is lowered until it is about 100 millimeters above floor level. All movement is stopped. The guide rope is then removed. Now the crane is directed to move the motor to its new position, whereupon the load is guided by hand. Movement is again stopped, and then the load is lowered gently until it rests upon the ground. Now the sling can be taken off the crane hook and the crane positioned out of the way. All equipment can now be removed from the load. Stop the tape now and ask your course controller for the next practical assignment.